G'day. Hello, today's post is called Defending the Vulnerable People from Criminal Politicians and Governments. Okay, you heard it. So, defending the vulnerable people in our society from criminal politicians and criminal governments. So, let's kick right into it. Okay, so I thought I'd do a post today because none of the politicians are talking. They're all hush-hush. Okay, federal elections coming up soon. State elections are coming on, okay? And just a bit of a background into the cost of living crisis. To back it up, we've got to give you some facts, okay? Why is housing so expensive in Queensland and Australia? And how did it all start? And let's get back to the facts. So one of Australia's worst mass murderers, a guy called Scotty Morrison, okay, at the time, him and Pete Dutton were scheming the scamdemic. Okay, so the US White House has released a statement a few weeks ago saying that the scamdemic and the coronavirus is a man-made virus. Okay, so we know that's a fact. Now, this guy, Scotty Morrison, before he got kicked out of office because he lost his popularity, nobody wanted a repeat offending criminal mass murderer in office, so he got kicked out, and they did the old switcheroo. So they got rid of him because his popularity was down from the heinous crimes he committed against the most vulnerable people in our societies and the trickery he did. All the people that he forced the jab onto, about 90% of them feel that they got coerced into it. This is the fact. This is the truth. I'm talking out and I'm talking about it. I'm telling you the truth. So this criminal, Scotty Morrison, okay, he passed a bill, okay, under our noses that allowed foreign corporations to buy land in Australia. Now, Australians and us everyday Aussies, we can't compete with the foreign corporations. We don't have the pockets to do so. So a big shout out, first of all, to everyone in Queensland, everyone in Australia, my lovely wife, Cherry. A big shout out to all the domestic terrorists out there, the real bad reoffending criminals, even the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, the worst of the worst you can get, okay? So what happened is this corrupt individual, this criminal called Scotty Morrison, under our noses passed a law, okay, just before he got booted out to allow foreign corporations to buy land in Australia. So we can't compete as Aussies with the foreign corporations that have unlimited pockets. So just as an illustration, where we live in the Darling Downs, I think more than half of the land now here is owned by foreign corporations. We just can't compete with them. Every time that a farm comes up for sale, boom, they buy it. They got unlimited pockets. So very, very shortly, there's some very good, decent people out there. Now, big shout out to all the independents and all the independent parties. Your One Nation people, your Clive Palmer's party. We've got our Senator Rennick's party. We've got our independents. These are the people that we need to vote for because they're good, decent people that actually care about Aussies. They care about people, okay? The criminals and the repeat offending mass murderers like Scotty Morrison, they have no thought for you. They specifically targeted the weakest people in the community first, okay? Big shout out to all the First Nations people. It's me, Skipper Stanley. I'm a big fan of you guys. Okay, they targeted the First Nations people. They targeted the vulnerable people, like the elderly people, the young people, the people that were immunocompromised. These are the kind of criminals that they are, because obviously they wanted to kill off those kind of people. So the fact of the matter is, it's the same repeat offending criminals today. It's the same corrupt government. Now, when Scotty Morrison passed those laws for all this land getting bought, and it's still happening today, it put the prices through the roof for housing, cost of living. Now, when they did the scamdemic, and you got these mass murderers like Dan Andrews, he's a repeat offending mass murderer. He's still up to his tricks today. He's obviously good buddies with the World Economic Forum and World Health Organization. And hello, World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, it's me, Skipper. You're still a declared domestic terrorist organization on Queensland soil, soon to be on Australian soil, because we see that you've got a scheme there where you want to close off 30% of all Australian land to have Aussies have no access to 30% of all publicly owned, land and and stuff like that, so you can have it for yourselves. But you're not even Queensland residents, you're not even Australian residents, so hey, rack off. So this post is directly regarding homelessness in Queensland. Okay, so the reason the rents have risen so high with the cost of living, you've got repeat offending criminals like Labor, the coalition LMP, Pete Dutton, for instance. He went out with his team of people weeks, months and years leading up to the scamdemic, and he had meetings regarding locking families down, shutting the borders, separating families, social distancing. They were practicing these things. So Pete Dutton, it's me, Skipper. Okay, we know you're a reoffending criminal trying to go for office again, but Aussies don't want it. Okay, we don't want repeat offending criminals that target the vulnerable people in the community having anything to do with leadership. Okay, so the reason why homelessness is so high, there's people living on the streets that actually work and have full-time jobs. They just, there's no houses or they can't afford it because the rents are so high. The prices are going through the roof for housing because when the properties were available for sale, now that foreign corporations can buy land in Australia, and prior to Scotty Morrison's, I think it was 3 months before he got kicked out of office, or a month before he got kicked out of office, he changed his laws. So that's why the number one reason the cost of living is so high. Number two, you've got repeat offending criminals in Labor, the coalition LNP and the Greens privatising all of our our energy and electricity and stuff like that. And we'll privatise it and sell it off to our little foreign buddies to make the prices go down. But we all know what happens there. The prices don't go down, they go up. Okay, tell me who the fool is. Okay, FOOL. Okay, tell me who the fool is that closed down all of the Aussie-owned supermarkets and let foreign corporations like Woolies and Coles come in and send all the profits overseas. And the stuff that they sell, most of it is rubbish, because if they've only got one little section that's health food, what's the rest of it? It's rubbish. It's crap. Okay, who's the bright spark that's going to put their hand up in politics and say, hey, I made the decision to close down all of the local Australian hardware stores and let a big foreign national corporation like Bunnings come in and send all the money overseas? Okay, you're not that smart. Okay, the repeat offending criminal politicians aren't that smart. But what it does come down to is the Executive Council of Queensland, the Executive Councils of the other state, and the Executive Councils of Australia. These are the guys that are handlers for people like Albo and Scotty Morrison. So hello to all the Executive Councils. It's me, Skipper. You are a bunch of criminals, repeat offending criminals, based on your track history. So based on your track history, as you guys have the, the sign off on all the bills that come through, you repeat offending criminals. There's no other word for it. What individual that supports Australia would say yes to foreign corporations owning land in Australia? Only a criminal that does not support Aussies would do that. Okay. Now that's my opinion. Like it or lump it, but we're putting it out there because somebody has to defend the homeless people, and I'm going to do it. So if it had not been for a repeat offending criminal, Scotty Morrison, changing the laws that foreign corporations could own land in Australia, prices wouldn't have gone so high. We've got our own repeat reoffending criminals in Queensland politics. We got Chris O'Fooley. There was another repeat offending criminal, Miles. Miles came out publicly and said that the greatest achievement in his political career was killing over 250,000 babies with his abortion laws. And then Chris O'Fooley supported killing all of these babies as well, right up until one day before the coalition LNP guy got put into, apparently selected in Queensland, which is, controversial at the least. Up until the last day, he came out and contacted his buddies at the newspaper, and he put them on the newspaper, put them on the TV, one day before voting day. And he came out and said, I'm not going to support the killing off of the babies anymore, because their plan was to kill all the babies off. Okay, they had abortion laws passed where they spent millions and millions of dollars to target killing Queensland babies, point of birth abortion till 40 weeks pregnant. And their plan was to kill all the babies, bring foreign people in with little or no background checks. And then they thought that this is going to get them a lot more votes, because they thought they'll wipe out a whole generation. They'll import a whole heap of people in to water down our culture. and it's going to get them a whole heap of votes. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not. Queenslanders and Aussies are cottoning on to the crimes that you're committing. Okay, we're putting it out there publicly to stop your crimes. We need to get you guys out. So everybody needs to vote. The Greens, the Coalition LNP, and Labor last at the federal election. We need to vote for good, decent people that have values, morals, and ethics, like your One Nations, your Clive Palmer parties, like your Senator Gerard Rennick, all your independents. These are good, decent people that actually care about Aussies, care about Queenslanders. The repeat offending criminals that are in charge at the moment don't care about you. They don't care about your family. Now, just remember one thing, and I'm going to end it here. It's the same corrupt government that locked you up for a year. So the same corrupt politicians, the same corrupt executive councils that locked your families up for a year, that separated your families, that killed your businesses, okay? These are the same repeat offending criminals that forced you and coerced you to have the poison shot. We know now is a big scam. The White House had an announcement that it's a man-made virus, and the corrupt Queensland and Australian politicians and the executive councils knew of the harmful side effects, including death, but they still chose to release these poisons onto you, and they targeted the most vulnerable people in the community first. So we don't like it. We don't agree with it. These are the kind of people that can brighten up any room just by leaving it. There's a mass murderers. They should be tried. Okay, they should be in a criminal court. They should be tried, and for their crimes against humanity, it's a jailable offence at the least. So love and peace to all. Something to think about. Why is the economy so bad? Why did the cost of living go through the roof? It started with one guy, and he was the criminal called Scotty Morrison. Now, all of the parties, the Labor Party, the Coalition LNP, and the Greens, they're all basically the same party supported by the same executive council. So you've got to remember that. If you're voting for Labor, you're literally voting for the Coalition LNP. If you're voting for the Greens, you're literally voting for Labor, because they're all a bunch of reoffending criminals. Now, these guys all voted together on bills that cause severe distress, harm, injury, and death to Queenslanders and Aussies. So never forget that. Never forget the fact it's the same corrupt politicians that locked your families up for a year, separated your families, and targeted the most vulnerable and weakest in the community. Never, ever forget that. They've got to go. Queensland elections 2025, you have to vote last for these guys. Vote first for your independents and independent parties, because if you don't, what happened last year, the year before that, the year before that, 10 years before that, 10 years before that, 20 years before that, 30 years before that's going to happen again. But you must know one thing. The reason why the cost of living, property, housing, rent, food, and everything is so dear, you've got the corrupt politicians to blame for this, the corrupt Aussie politicians, okay? Liberals, okay, which is the LNP coalition, Labor, and the Greens. They're the corruptest of the most corrupt, and they have to take full responsibility for their actions. And the number one mass murderer himself, Mr. Scotty Morrison, you can actually personally thank him for sneaking through a bill just before he got kicked out, because they did the old switcheroo when he was getting kicked out because he lost all his popularity for the crimes against humanity. They quickly shuffled in Albo, okay? So, yeah, it's quite funny, quite amusing, but it wasn't amusing to all the families and the victims that lost loved ones. It's horrible. It's heinous crimes. So love and peace to all. Just clearing up the fact that when did the cost of living crisis start? And yes, it did start with the same corrupt, reoffending politicians that are in today. Nothing's changed. It's the same executive councils, the same repeat offending politicians. They need to go. They can't be here anymore. They have no values, morals, or ethics. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. Okay, all they're doing is sending all the money offshore, all the money overseas. They're not going to make Queensland great again. They're not going to make Australia great again. They want to make you broke, and they want to take all your assets and take everything from you, and you'll be a renter for life or homeless. That's their goal. So love and peace to all. Hope this post finds you all. I'm going to put it up for everyone to have a good look at.